Welcome to Mindful MakerSpace class. My name is Mrs. Nance, and before we start our activity today, let's go ahead and take the mindful breath. We'll be taking 2 breaths, 2 deep breaths, and in and out. I'll invite the bell 4 times, 2 for taking the breath in and 2 for taking the breath out. And today I'm going to choose this sunflower as the flower that I'll be breathing in to do my breaths. Are you ready? Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. You know, breathing is being kind and compassionate to yourself. It's taking care of yourself and knowing that we need the breath to make good decisions. Calms us down, focuses us, and gets us ready to learn. Enjoy your activity today. It's been 6 days since we planted our mini greenhouse. We planted Autumn Beauty sunflowers, 4 seeds. Let's see. Let's double check the back of the seed package. And it states that germination is 10 to 14 days. Let's see what's going on inside of this greenhouse. First, let's check out the bag and see what's going on. Did you notice there's some moisture? Some little bubbles? I wonder why there's bubbles inside. I see some discoloration where we have the seeds. Let's open it and see what's going on. I'm wearing gloves today because we're going to be working with some soil. I want to make sure I protect my hands. Oh, look at that. I already see a clue on what's going on in there. Let's carefully unfold this. Oh my goodness. It looks like 2 seeds have already started to germinate. Remember, germinate means that it was dormant and now it has a root and it's growing a stem. Notice what we have here is the seed. It's actually the shell of the seed. If I'm really careful, we can pull that off. Most of the time, the leaf will pull it off automatically when it starts to divide. And now you can see it's just a hull. It's just something that contained this, and the root broke out of it, and then the stem. This one's doing the same thing. Notice the roots are connected to my paper towel. That's okay. Looks like these 2 seeds still need a little bit more time. We're going to go ahead and plant these 2. If I was planting outside, I could put these outside in the ground. But right now, it's still early in the year to plant these spring-summer plants outside. We haven't had our last frost date. Remember, the frost date means that the temperature hits 32 or below. And if these plants are outside, when it hits that temperature, they'll die. That's why we do a greenhouse inside. And that's why we're going to do a little seedling plant inside until after the frost date. And we can't predict the frost date. Well, we can predict it, but we can't say exactly when it's going to be. But we can do some research. We can read in the Farmer's Almanac, and it may tell us approximately when the frost date might be. We can also go online and look it up. Look it up on the area that you live of when the last several years of frost dates have been. We just make a prediction. Now, these are going to be in something temporary because later it's going to be placed outside in a garden. If I were to grow a small flower that I want to keep inside, I wouldn't recommend this because it's going to be about 6 feet tall. But a smaller plant, you would need a more permanent container. And the container must have a hole. And this permanent container also must have gravel to be placed at the bottom of the container. You never want a plant sitting in a pot without some kind of drainage or some kind of gravel at the bottom. But these seedlings, we're going to just use a temporary container. This has been used over and over again. It's plastic, does have several holes. And we do not need gravel at the bottom because after the frost date, we're going to be planting these straight into the ground. So they're not going to be in here for very long. So we'll need some soil. I'm going to place that inside of my pot. This can get pretty messy, so make sure you have a covered area. These aren't very tall seedlings, so I'm going to go almost to the top because when I put some water in it, it's going to actually go down a little bit. You do want a little bit of room so when you water, the water can sit for a bit before it sinks down. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make a little hole, very tiny, because we just want the root there and that's it. I'm going to take one of the seedlings very gently. I'm going to place it in my soil, push the soil around so the only thing that's going to be sticking up is the green. Next, what's really important, because I just took it off the paper towel, which is still damp, I need some water. So I took an old water bottle with a sports top, and I'm just going to water gently my seedling. Sometimes the soil will sink and you'll need to add a little bit more, but it's looking pretty good. You'll do this with each of the seedlings that have germinated. So today, in my work area, I would do 2 because I have 2 seedlings that have germinated. Now you care for this. You make sure it gets sun, make sure it gets some air, and you water it and watch it grow. Then after the frost date, you may plant it outside in your garden. I hope you enjoyed the mini greenhouse. I hope you can figure out why there were bubbles on the sandwich bag while it was sitting at the window with the sun hitting it. I'm actually going to place these 2 back in the mini greenhouse. I might spritz the paper towel a little again to make sure it's damp. And then I'm also going to plant this second one later today. But I'll put this back in the greenhouse so it will have time for these 2 to germinate. Happy learning.